Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the January 22nd, 2025 Abington Finance Committee meeting. We have a good agenda tonight where we will be meeting with department heads. We have the Council on Aging, the Planning Board, and the Fire Department. We will also get an update on the fire/DPW building project. We'll get an update from the town manager, who has at least some information about the governor's budget. We'll get liaison reports. We will not get a report on correspondence because I was running late and didn't have a chance to check it. We will possibly review minutes. We might not have enough people once again. If you've been watching our meetings, that's been a challenge for some of our reviews of minutes. And then we'll discuss next week's meeting. So let's get right to it. Council on Aging, we have our Council on Aging Director, Amy Barrett, here to join us. Right here.
That isn't for us.
Wow.
Applause. I like it. Should we have notice, Amy, they didn't applaud. The applause came when you came up here, so.
That's amazing. Thank you. So I'm Amy Barrett. I am the director down at the Council on Aging. Would you like me to read the mission and then my achievements and goals, or do you want
Sure.
us?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the mission down at the Council on Aging is safeguarding and promoting the independence and both the mental and physical health of our seniors, as well as making sure that they're aging well in a supportive and energetic environment. So this past year, the newsletter, again, this is big because of all the activities, increased from 12 pages to 16 pages and is now being distributed via email to 463 Abington residents.
That's great.
Via email, which is incredible.
Yep.
They're available at senior housing, town hall, library, and many local businesses. We also mail them to seniors upon request. There was a big, we had a little pushback when we stopped mailing them, but they were getting very expensive. So if they call and say, I can't get it online, we mail it to everybody, a hard copy. We also have successfully added 4 additional exercise classes, and they're all well attended. And last December, we applied through the Brockton Area Transit Authority for a MassDOT grant for a brand new 14-passenger handicap accessible van that we actually got. So we got the grant for this van, and it's due to arrive July 2025. It's low floor, it's 14 passengers, it's bigger, it's brand new, so everybody's
That's
really,
super exciting.
especially Michelle, super excited for this.
Yeah.
It's going to make things a lot easier down there when we'll use the other van until we actually can't anymore.
Yeah.
So that's coming. The COA got a new beautiful full wall bookcase. The lumber and the labor were all donated. And as of today, there are 280 brand new consumers that have never been in the building before. Amazing.
great.
We're averaging 22 brand new people a month, which is, I think, historic, so that's great. There have been several successful trips and activities this year, and the multi-generational collaboration between the seniors and the Abington High School students, the Cardinal Cushing students, and the Cardinal Spellman High School has been incredible. The admin at the high school has been very encouraging. We want to let you also know that we have 50 dial-back clients in Abington, and we're making sure that up to 10 people a day are getting to their medical appointments. With Cheryl calling, they have to go through our department in order to get rides to medical appointments and social trips. So we're taking care of all of them. So those are some of our achievements for this year. The goals for FY26, we'd like to start some new programming, possibly new classes, card groups, historic research groups, which we've talked to some people about coming in and doing that, some Abington locals that are working with historic stuff. We want to keep the center open till 4 o'clock a couple days a week. We're also discussing having a breakfast cafe 3 days a week and a grab and go for sandwiches and luncheons on Wednesday, just to provide a little additional healthy option for our seniors 1 day a week. We want to offer Spanish and Portuguese language classes, and we've already reached out to a retired Spanish teacher to come ahead and do that in our new medium room. And lastly, we're holding open house drop-ins so that people can come and learn about the center. We are putting it in the newsletter so that more people feel comfortable just dropping through, but we have designated days for that now. And we'll give them tours and show them around and have coffee. And lastly, just a couple of, these are things that are kind of important. I guess it would technically be their goals, but a wish list as well. So for safety reasons, of course, we'd like chairs with arms made from antimicrobial material for our cafeteria. That is still something that we really, people are having a really bad time with the chairs down there. So we would really love to do that. And would also like to get the bollards around the front side of the building, which I believe there's something in the works for that as we speak. The DPW has been down, but I did this a little bit before we got the commitment from them. And lastly, we are going to upgrade the fitness room. We have dozens of people every week using our fitness room, and we just want to upgrade and update the equipment in there. We received some things from Quincy College and the YMCA, so we'd like to get a stationary bike in there and a couple of new pieces. So that's what we're looking at for things that we'd like to do down there.
It's a question because I wasn't sure when you said it, and I think I know, but I'm guessing people watching this will have the same question. What's a bollard?
So just the safety, just their concrete posts around the perimeter. Our offices are all external, so
To prevent
people from driving
right.
into our building.
That's what I thought it was. I just
Yes, we've had a
thought it
couple
would be a
of-
good thing to
Yeah,
clarify.
we just think because of where they're located, every single one of our offices are on external walls, so
Yeah.
it seems like we'd feel better if they were there, so, yeah.
Makes sense.
And what would you like me to, do you have any questions, or would you like me to go right
Questions
into our
before we go
budget?
into the budget?
I wanted to, if anybody else has a question, I wanted to ask about the schools. What
I
are the,
love it.
what are the schools doing with the senior center?
Oh, so we've had game show days. They come down and have lunch and they sit at the tables with them and we play game shows. We do trivia, we do all kinds of things. They chat with them, they're reminiscing with them, they're taking pictures with them.
And is it like specific students at the high school that have to meet a criteria?
No,
Or anyone
some.
that's like,
Some,
they
it's-
sign up to do it?
Yes,
Or
they're signing up with Kate Casey, they're signing up, Heidi Hernandez. The kids have a small group at school. They're kind of getting some of those kids, 351, Project 351. They're doing some work. And we generally just put it out there. Andrew Van Luling also did a lot of work at Christmas time with our Christmas drive. So we have a couple of different groups that come, and they're coming regularly, and the seniors love them. It's awesome. And that was one of our goals for last year, was to spend more time kind of trying to get, they have a lot to learn from each other, truly. It's incredible to watch. So,
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Good.
Anyone else? All right.
Okay,
Right
so
in.
do you need to, we need
Nope,
to,
dive right in.
okay. To the, which part first?
We usually start with, yep, I was gonna say, we usually start with salaries,
Oh.
because that's
Okay.
almost always the biggest one.
The biggest one. Okay, so what we're looking for this year, everybody, I put in for everybody to have a 2% raise. Mainly what we're looking for is time, more hours. We are having a really hard time getting our work done in the hours that we have because the building is crazy busy all the time. So if we had more hours, we do want to stay open too. People have been asking for quite some time just to see what we could bring, and we actually already started. We're open on Wednesdays till 3:30 or 4 o'clock.
I've
A
had,
yoga
over the
class.
years, heard
Yeah.
complaints of the building
yeah,
not being open enough,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
not enough hours,
Right.
or,
Right. So we thought that, given that we have the programming all lined up, and we did already start it, we're staying on Wednesdays for a mat yoga class that we just started, and it's already full. So we would like to stay open a couple days a week. It would give us some time to be in the building and be with the consumers, and then let us have some clerical time. We have a really hard, we just need to settle in and have a couple of hours. even if it's 2 days a week, just 2 or 3 hours to really get all of our stuff done when we're not
Right.
interacting with everybody in the building. Yeah, so that is the main thing. That's what we've asked for right across the board, except for Meals on Wheels. Meals on Wheels get delivered 2 days a week, so there's no need for an increase in hours, because it's the same every Monday and Thursday. So she was comfortable and wanted to stay there, and she can get her work done in that time frame. Her salary is also picked up by the formula grant, so, and some of these salaries are being subsidized by the formula grant, because we got another increase for this year, which was great. We did get more money from the formula grant. That's a 2-year, we've had an increase both years. Yeah, so.
Is that something you have to apply for
Not
over
for-
and over, or you just have applied for it once, and then when the money runs out, the money runs out?
So last time they allocated this money, it was 2020, and it was good, or 2022, good to 2032. So we don't have to apply in those years. It's coming. They let us know if there's an increase, decrease, and what every town is allotted, based on the number of seniors. Based on our last census, there were 4,099 seniors, or people over 60 in Abington.
Yeah.
Which probably, if the census was done, we helped facilitate it, more people would have been able to
Been
have
involved, yeah.
Yes, to have access to it, so, yeah, but it's for a 10-year period. Mhm.
And you'll have the opportunity to apply again for the
Yes.
next funding cycle.
Yep, yep, yep. And it'd be 2 years before the end of the contract, so.
Good.
Is it just me or talking about 2030 is just like absolutely crazy?
I know, did we just say that like, oh, it's just
Like,
2 years before?
in 2 years,
2028,
like 2
but that's, I
It's
know.
closer than we think.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions, anything? The formula grant, I have it highlighted underneath what everybody is getting. We had to spend a couple of years, in my opinion, we had to spend a couple of years kind of getting everybody up to market value down there. They're all working really hard, so we just wanted to make sure everybody was making a nice living. They're working hard, they deserve it. So this is where we're at with this. This, I thought, was perfect. And everybody is excited at the thought of having more hours. We can get more done. We can do so much more down there. It's a little prohibitive right now.
And we can see, not everyone can see, but we can see that pay rate isn't really increasing
Right.
very much.
No, it's the.
Tiny bit,
yes,
2% or 1%.
Yes, that's, yeah,
So the increase in salary is strictly an increase in hours.
right,
Not so much an increase in rate.
right, correct. So. Do you have any questions, anybody? On that part? Okay. And then the operating budget. Here we go. So, actually, we just kind of switched some things around. We took money out of the van expenses because we are getting the new van. So we'll keep some in there to continue to work on our old van. So we switched that around. We went down to $1,000 for van. We stayed the same. For the equipment repair and maintenance, we did go up for the damage, repair, replace, because we're in the process of taking on a lot of projects down at the center, improvements. We're painting and cleaning up and streamlining things and making everything lovely. So we did put more in damage, repair, and replace. And, stayed the same for office supplies, custodial, we did go up and to 4,500, and we did go up also for dues and fees, because the more seniors that we have, the higher our MCOA fees get, our dues get higher as our count goes up. So we did have to put more in that. We were over $1,000 in dues and fees this year. So that pretty much, we kind of just moved some things around and kept that pretty much the same.
Will there be a significant increase in auto insurance? because of the new van versus the old van? And where does that show up?
It shows up in our insurance, just in
Yeah.
a fleet insurance and our basic liability. There will be an increase,
Yeah,
yeah.
but it's a few thousand, it's not,
Yeah. I mean, the biggest part of our insurance is more the liability
okay.
part of it. It's there anyways.
But someone's putting that in the budget,
Yeah, oh, yeah, it's in, I think in my
that's the
area.
question.
Again, not fun. That all sounds really good.
What's that? The center is amazing. It's doing great. Everybody's working hard. They're happy. We have got loads of happy seniors, and we have the formula grant that's helping with all the activities and all the things that we're doing. We also have an earmark contract award that it's so broad, we're allowed to use it for everything. So activities and maintenance, and you could even use it for salary. So it's wide open. So we also have that for expenditures. So yeah.
And you service more than just the seniors.
Yeah.
You help out with, I know, people that call you for, or the girls for help with Medicare or
Oh, yeah,
questions about that type of stuff.
I'm still doing Medicare. I'm still the Medicare person down in the building. We had a crazy high Medicare open enrollment season. It was awesome. I think we saw 150 last year. I saw 177 clients this year.
And you guys are the point person for like fuel assistance.
Fuel assistance, yep, Robin is doing fuel assistance and SNAP, for EBT.
Benefits, yeah.
Yeah, and all yeah.
In the work program, you get a work program.
We just reconfigured the whole entire tax work-off program. So that's a really big difference.
And so that's for all of the.
Everybody benefits from it.
Yeah.
But I mean,
But they sign up through.
they sign up through Amy,
Yeah.
even if it's someone that's helping out up here at
Yep.
Town Hall, they're
Yeah,
signing up
anywhere.
at this.
If they're over 60 and they are homeowners in town, they can apply to participate in this program. And I think we've got it perfectly streamlined and under control now, which,
You do.
I mean, it's good. It's great. And it went up a little bit, and we were able to give an opportunity to more people for volunteering, so.
And then they get like a break on their taxes,
Yeah.
a percentage.
Yeah, yeah, they get a tax break, and it's great because they can go anywhere in any of the departments in town. So,
Yeah.
It's great.
Does serving on the finance committee count?
Depends how you vote.
I was just gonna say, so,
It could, it could.
yeah. I'm not sure I have much more, did you?
Abby, did you have anything?
I'm just curious, I noticed this on another one last week too. The electricity and heating have no money, but I assume you use electricity and heating in the building.
Yeah.
So where does that get paid?
Andrew can answer that one.
There's a centralized account for it.
Oh, okay.
So that'll be in the town manager's budget.
Okay, I noticed another one had nothing, I think it was the other two, and I was like, somebody has to be paying
Yeah,
that.
if you notice, if you're looking at the line for electricity for anyone watching at home, it's the third one down in the, or not electricity. Electrical panel? No, I'm not sure. Anyway, what we have in a lot of the budgets is, because we go back several years on the sheet that we're looking at, it goes back to before we centralized
Okay, that makes
electricity
sense.
into one account. So the line is still there in the department's budget, but the money doesn't actually come through the department's budget.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone with other questions?
Nope.
Amy, thank you so much for your time.
Right on.
Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Good job, Amy.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
They clapped before you got
I
up.
know.
Nobody clapped on the way out.
Good job.
All rise.
Next up is the planning department. Town planner Liz Shea. This is
Oh, those are my notes. Okay, thank you so much.
You have your own notes, right?
I do have my minutes. Or not. We'll just wing it. All right.
I don't think you'd have a problem with that.
No. It's my whole life, it's winging it. We can skip the mission if you want, because it's really pretty boring about blah, 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 chapter 41 of the state, blah, blah, blah. That's like planning board stuff, which they review site plans, subdivisions, anything that's getting built commercially in the town. The planning board looks at that, the applications go through our office. Kevin is the deputy town planner, and we process the applications, make sure it's all good, reach out to the developers if they're not. So that's, about that much of our job, so that's kind of the part of that mission thing. So basically, as part of that mission, Kevin and I support the board, provide them with information, do decision letters, work with people and residents, developers, et cetera, to kind of be a liaison between the public and the board members. So our achievements, the hazard mitigation plan is done
Oh, we're working on that,
for like 400 years, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's, the Board of Selectmen adopted it in October, and it has gone to FEMA for final approval, and when we get that back, it will make the public safety departments, actually, I think now they're probably eligible for grants, because we do have a hazard mitigation, an updated hazard mitigation plan on file. We're still working, we had a 2-year MVP grant, which is Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness, and we were actually participating in their pilot program, which was MVP 2.0. The first year was to do a deep dive into who lives in Abington, whose voices don't normally get heard in Abington, who don't attend town meetings, who don't participate, which is generally lower income people, non-English speaking people, the elderly, and other groups that that was our job to sort of uncover that. We did that with a group of people in town. We had community liaisons that they paid to participate, the state, which I thought was wonderful. So we had a police officer who has since moved on out of Abington, and we replaced her, but she brought in the 2 pastors from the Brazilian church on Washington Street.
Oh, yeah.
They have since left our group. We have replaced them with a woman who volunteers at the food pantry, who is Brazilian Portuguese speaker and does a lot of our translating for us. We have low income representative, we have a student representative from the high school. So we're reaching all these different groups. That was the whole point of it. The second part of this is we're getting $55,000 to do a seed project, which will be up to those community liaisons. They have to take the feedback that they've received from the community and come up with a project. Now, some of the stuff that has been discussed are gardens, planting box gardens at different parks around town, because not everybody has access to griffins. That was one, I can't remember, we haven't met in a little bit, so, but there were a bunch of different projects that got, maybe a pocket park. So stuff like that we've discussed, and then they'll make that decision and we'll start moving forward with that, getting built or done, probably in a few months. Next Tuesday, I go to conservation with the unveiling of trail design designs for Outback. We literally have been trying to get everybody's scheduled aligned, like the moons aligning this month. We're all gonna go to conservation. So there's three different designs that we're looking at. The one that is the least expensive is also will probably cause the most long-term damage, so we're probably not gonna go with that, and that is to just put pavement out there and maybe a culvert, but it would, in essence, split the wetlands out there. So conservation wasn't happy with that solution, so we've come up with a couple of others. We'll talk to them next week about what they want. And then there'll be grant money moving forward for us to go back and apply to build the trail. And then we can also go to CPC for additional funds because they helped pay for
Yeah.
the grant. So that's moving along and we're excited about that. Even bigger, we're all done with MBTA communities. One of a few in the state, a handful. So we've been approved and then that made us eligible for, the governor set up an MBTA Catalyst Fund and you had to be an approved community. And the grant that you applied for had to have something to do with the MBTA community, like improving the infrastructure, creating, putting shade trees in or something like that. So we applied to have Center Ave repaved because it's on that other side.
Yeah.
Of the train station. We haven't heard about that yet. I anticipate hearing within a month or so whether we get that grant, but we applied for $1 million. And our contribution, we have a fund that we set up last year, a grant match fund. And I think, did I tell you $25,000 out of there? Yeah, that was the match. And Kenan's gonna kick in some Chapter 90 money. So I think our total match is like $100,000 for $1 million worth of work
Nice.
on that road.
And we were eligible for that because
We're an MBTA community.
because of the housing
Because we adopted that zoning district,
that, right,
that was,
that we had to
yep,
do.
that we had to do. We did what we were supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I guess this was our prize. I don't know if we're gonna get it, but it was a nice bonus round at the end of the rainbow, right?
Is that the housing thing that I see on the news?
Multifamily overlay district, yes. So very briefly, the state passed a law that said every community that either had a train station in it or a commuter rail station, or some of them are adjacent communities, had to produce a certain percentage or zone for, not produce, you need to be very careful about that, zone for multifamily development. So we did that last year at town meeting. We
Okay.
adopted that zoning. It's down around the train station, it's specific lots.
Okay, so we already have it.
We're done, we
Okay.
adopted it. Other communities did not do that. They staggered deadlines, so some deadlines were December of '23, then it was December of '24, and the adjacent communities are December of '25. So that big wave was December of '24.
Okay.
And shortly after the new year, Milton was the first community to say, we're not doing it. And the court decided in the state's favor. They have to go back and do some,
They were being
Advertising.
fined, fined daily, weren't they?
they can be
They
now.
can be fined now,
Can be,
because the
but-
court decided in their favor.
One of the things that we discussed when we were discussing the article on the warrant that passed at the last town meeting was what ends up happening if you don't do it is the state makes the rules for you.
Right.
So
That's one
it
thing, they could
seems-
come in,
Seemed
right?
like a very silly thing to not do.
Right.
Yeah. Is there any, are there any projects currently underway as a result of that zoning?
Building projects?
Yeah,
Not at this moment.
no, okay,
The one that's being built right now down there
Yeah.
was an approved affordable housing project.
okay. All right, so that has
The work
nothing
you
to do
see
with
going
that.
on down there is not relative
Yeah.
to our,
I didn't think so, but
yeah.
No,
I've seen
Something
on-
that's probably
I think
under-
that's a
yeah.
good thing to raise.
Where is
Yeah.
this? I'm so sorry. I have no sense of direction.
Okay, so you know where the commuter rail station
Yes,
is?
yes.
So it's,
Near.
the zoning district is, if you're at the commuter rail station and you're facing Summer Street,
Okay.
so most of the lots are across the street and down the street a little.
Okay.
We had to have a certain.
Oh,
they-
so it's like the backside. I was thinking like near the Stop and Shop. I was like,
Yeah, no, we didn't go up
Okay.
that high, no, it's
Okay.
more all around the Summer Street area. That was one, I mean, obviously, where are we gonna do this, right? It's
Yeah.
already pretty dense. So the board picked where it was, and then the state gave us a spreadsheet, which I don't know who came up with it. We had to have a consultant fill it out for us. I'm like, I don't know what that means. I'm not doing that. So anyway, they gave us some money to do that, so that, nothing
We
came out
got
of
grant
pocket.
money to actually do it, too.
Right, yeah.
Which is,
Yeah, they did all of that, so, but it was very convoluted and very complicated, and at the end of the day, it was sort of a lot simpler, like once you absorbed it and went, oh, wait a minute, this is all they want, okay. And the other thing was, those communities that didn't comply also became ineligible for grant rounds last year, and Milton had money taken away.
Okay.
They had some seawall money or something, they went, "Psh, not
If I
for you."
remember correctly, it was in the vicinity of $4 million.
Yeah, it was a lot of money.
So,
Yeah, it was a chunk of change. So as painful as that all was, and as upset as people were getting about it, we just did it, and now we're in a better place, I think, better standing for it all. I am currently sitting on a regional water steering committee. Regional planning agency, Old Colony Planning Council, received a grant for their regional area, and it's to come up with short-term, long-term water solutions. Our next meeting is February 4th, and we should have the plan. We've been at it for a year. All the communities have been represented. Most have attended all the meetings. There's been a very big variety of people being heard on the water and where it's coming and where it's going. So,
And
you
how to
guys,
get more of it.
we can get more of it, right?
Right.
I've talked to Scott about this multiple times, all throughout this whole process. I've just continually repeated, if Brockton buys the desal plant, we would like to be counted as like hands up, we would like some of that. And if we can get access to the MWRA water.
Well, and what's going on with, there was, when Southfield was in here to talk about, bringing in water from, where are they with any of
They're
their,
still working through all processes. They're sort of in the same boat, but they are looking and I think expecting the MWRA project to happen. I don't know, I
they
didn't
had a
see
couple
anything
of
about it
different-
in the governor's bill, but it was really the only thing holding it up is the governor has to finally sign whatever was needed. This has been sitting up there for a while, up in her office or up in the legislature. So if that happens, then they'll have to figure out how they get the water here. It's still a long-term plan.
well, at one time, there was discussion that could benefit us, because they would bring it from a couple of the different locations that they could come from and pull the pipe down.
Yep, that's still the plan, and there's actually another group that I've been working on that is not with OCPC, but it's Hingham and Rockland and Situate and a few of those towns, Hanover, I think, that are also, because everybody is in the same boat. There's only, so they're all hoping also that when the MWRA gets down to Weymouth, that there's some other way that we're all hooking up to it. And I think that there's a solution out there somewhere. We're not sure whether it's coming from the north or the south. We're also, I know that there's, the water department's also looking into, restoring wells and doing what they can to get more water of their own. And, I'm confident we'll overcome it all within the next couple of years. Then we'll just have to figure out the part two of it is,
The expense.
well, the expense and then the septic part of it, because you can have all the water in the world and then we don't have any septic capacity, right? So, but I do actually think that OCPC, that Liz has been working with, has made some really good strides and good movement. And again, that was encouraged and funded with grants from the state. So the state is recognizing it, that the South Shore has this huge problem because they're insisting that we create all these MBTA zones and build all this housing, but we don't have the infrastructure for it.
to the housing, and we can't take sewage away from the housing. So
Right, so we have some, and those are big problems.
something needs to happen.
Right, which is sort of the mantra of the last year, is like, you can make these laws, you can tell us
mandates.
that we have to do the zoning. Next thing up for this year is the accessory dwelling units. I don't know if you guys heard that. The governor signed into law last August, and it is effective February 2nd, that anybody can put an accessory dwelling unit, I like to call them a granny pod,
Yes, okay.
for lack, for a descriptive term, an in-law granny pod, in their yard, by right. And we don't have a lot to say about that. Actually, as of February 2nd, we won't have anything to say about it because we will not have a town meeting
Yeah.
to adopt any zoning.
But they can put it there, but you would need, providing water and sewer.
That's one part of
Yes,
it.
right.
And how do you do that? Do you open the street and bring in new lines? Do you tap the lines that exist for the primary dwelling? These are, all of these very
Yeah.
complicated questions have been sent back to them.
There was zero guidance on any.
Yeah, nothing. We got some
That never
regulations.
happens.
Right? It's weird.
Right.
It's really weird.
And even more frustrating is, it's what, today's the 21st?
Right, August to
22nd?
February, it's
Right,
just not.
and I don't have any regulations. I can't even start to draft a
That
bylaw.
also never happens.
Yeah, right.
So it's been a frustrating couple of months trying to, because we don't know what they're gonna require.
And I think the thinking behind it is looking to help with the housing crisis and aging parents and sandwich generations and all of that.
The
So
thought
it
is
is
wonderful.
It is.
Yes. It is.
It's, but there's
It needs to
all
be
of
backed
the
up.
other, there's a lot of logistics that go into.
And under this law, nobody who owns a property has to live there. Which kind of bothers me personally. You know, I see the aging parents, the children, like
Right.
all of that, and I see this as a fabulous solution for all of that. But it would be nice if somebody who owned the property lived there.
Right.
But that's,
Otherwise, it's just, you can just rent it out and it's,
and what could potentially happen, this, we had a meeting and it was like, well, you know, an investor come in, could buy property, put the ADU there and go back to Florida or whatever, right?
right.
Does there have to be a primary dwelling?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That at least is some restriction.
Right, right.
If you
Well,
just put these
again,
like
that,
detachable pods,
Wherever.
Right.
whatever, that would be,
Where would you even
that
get
would
a
be worse.
detachable pod?
you can buy them.
Okay.
Amazon.
Amazon, Amazon
I
will
think you're right,
Yes,
yeah.
we can-
Yeah, but there's like places out in
There's-
California that make them and,
Okay.
I mean, they really do fill this void in a housing crisis. I guess part of the funny part about it was, this was part of the affordable housing or affordable, whatever it was, but nothing has to be affordable.
Yeah, that's the,
So I'm like.
The word affordable is used by
Lightly.
the state and federal government very frequently and very liberally.
Just like the MBTA district, none of that's required to be affordable. We added to 10%, because that's where we have to keep our affordability number at 10%.
Right.
Yep.
So for every unit built, you know, we gotta keep that number. So we did add 10% to that, but, yeah.
And maybe as things go on, there will be restrictions that as the town will be able to place on these.
reasonable
um,
restrictions.
Well, I mean, what you consider reasonable and what someone else considers
Well,
reasonable.
what's what,
right?
ultimately, it'll be what the state, like, if we did put them as unreasonable and they get challenged, the state will say that's not reasonable. But like, I think certainly things that we look at now is sideline setbacks, coverage issues, proximity, you know, how close can two structures be to one another?
Right.
Parking to a certain extent, but I don't think you can require more than like one spot for it.
So we can require, and if you're within a half mile of the train station, no spot.
And so what will that do to the taxes on that property?
They'll
Like,
increase proportionally with, you know, it's an improvement and
Is it an improvement though, like?
a new structure, you know,
It would, I mean, we have them now, they're in-laws.
yeah.
And the zoning bylaw we currently have requires to be a familial relationship there. So it would have to be your parents, a cousin, like you have to sign an affidavit every year saying my parents are living there or, you know, something like that. This takes that away, except if it's not granted by, it gets all messy. So I won't get into the craziness of all of it, but that is coming. That's something we're working on with the building department, the assessors, trash, sewer, water. We're trying to wrangle everybody in so they're all aware of what's coming and, you know, what we
Yeah.
can do to mitigate what we can do. So as you all know, we got $1 million from Congressman Lynch. Yay. That starts with an environmental review. So,
To specify for those listening, having to do with the Island Grove Bridge.
oh, so the island, London Bridge Island Grove is falling down. And,
We didn't just get $1 million from the Congress.
well, we kind of. So they have community preservation funding that is at the discretion of our Congress people. And I filled out an application and had everybody and their brother write a letter of support and included pictures and et cetera, et cetera. So we sent that in. We got chosen to get into like the final round. And then I'm like, oh, I never heard anything. I'm like, oh, we're done. And then he showed up at town meeting and said, oh, by the way, you got your $1 million. I'm like, we did?
That's fabulous.
Yeah, so that's very exciting. We've had, the CPC has been very generous. They funded that design study, which is now done, or almost done. And so as we finish that up, we had some mass historical grant money too. And as we finish all of this up, our consultant is trying to put the stuff in, the specs for the scope of work, for the bridge work. So we hit a little snag here, but the environmental review is the next thing. That can take up to 2 years. So I don't want anybody to think we're gonna stop very soon. I wish we could, but we're over a pond and it's an environmental review and I have a feeling it's gonna take longer than shorter to get that done. But
Lots of red tape,
It's
but-
a lot of steps closer than it was.
Than it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
there's light at the end of the tunnel.
And the way that we are doing it through community preservation ensures that we are truly preserving the area, preserving
Right,
what its intent
right,
is.
Right. right, why it was all built.
So we do have to go through the red tape.
We do, and I'm happy to do that, right? Because it's not, in my face all the time. I'm poking away and working
Yeah.
with these people as we keep moving along. Speaking of Island Grove, we got the bandstand done, or the pavilion. The pavilion. I keep calling it the wrong thing. That got done this year finally, which is fabulous.
Looks really
And being unveiled this spring will be, because we can't install them now, are those signs like you see in historic parks. We ordered 5 of those. I want to thank the Historic Commission because they did all the heavy lifting on that. And then we hired somebody to put the signs together. So they are living down at the DPW right now in their boxes until we can get them installed. But it gives a lot of history about the veterans, and the bridge and the monument and abolitionist stone. So those will be so much fun when they finally get installed. So we're looking forward to that this spring. We are updating our open space and recreation plan. Our consultant on that is Old Colony Planning Council. She's working with the Open Space and Recreation Committee. We've updated a couple of chapters already. And they'll be doing some outreach, community outreach, within the next month or so, I think. Then we are gonna update our housing production plan. We got $35,000 from the state to do that, and the rest of it will be covered by our district local technical assistance money, blah, 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 more alphabet soup, from Old Colony Planning Council. That's their money that they can give out to people
At
to
their
work on
discretion.
projects. So their contribution with the state money will cover that, and there's no cost to the town to update our housing production plan. That's key for the Affordable Housing Trust, kind of helps them with a roadmap on the stuff that they want to do, and that's one thing in their strategic plan that needed to get checked off. So that will be done this year. We got $25,000 in a grant for downtown initiatives and economic development. We had an earmark for $100,000. We had already gone ahead and hired a consultant who had started work on a facade program, which she'd sort of rolled that out for us. And now she's gonna work on a beautification program with that additional money. So nothing else will come out of the earmark, and then we can use the rest of that money to do the actual work.
And what area is that?
North Abington. So we're looking at awnings, adding window boxes, adding benches, adding some shade trees over at Auto Park, some benches at Auto Park, replacing lampposts.
Yeah, and what's nice about it's not even, there's a lot of things like, that we'll do right now and be able to do right now, but it's put a pretty long comprehensive plan that improvements over the next several years that will also be included in that, like signage that we could update, but, we don't have the money to do everything now, but we can apply for more grants and/or put it as part of the
Important to note that that
capital
is
program.
being paid for through grant money.
Yeah,
Earmarks and
Not-
grant money.
earmarks and
Just-
grant money.
I know that sometimes people see work being done around town and they think, why are you putting money into that when you should put money into this?
Right.
But it's very specific what you can use that money for.
And that's all we can use it for.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't even get the 25,000. We filled out the scope of work today and sent it back. They will pay the vendor directly.
Yeah.
So that doesn't even wash through here.
The earmark was very specific,
Yeah.
though, for economic development for North Abington Center.
So,
But when all these things are done, even if it's with grant money, we still have to take care of it.
we do.
And is there any provision in the grant for future maintenance, or they don't do that?
They don't do that.
That just falls on the town.
It comes
Well-
back to the town.
I mean, it's fixing things in infrastructure, for the most part, that we already have. Things that just, I mean, you see it, it's just old, and any repairs that we might do, facades that we might do with some sort of a program and by the businesses will be responsible for.
Oh.
And they will be buying, this is sort of a, hey, if you want to do this facade over, we'll be willing with some grant money to help you, but ultimately you're paying the big part of this, and we'll be responsible for maintaining it. Some beautification things that we've been looking at, like we said, whether it's enhancements to the park, but these are things that we should be doing anyways. We're just lucky enough now that we actually have grant money to do it.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Window buckets.
Window, yeah.
Plant buckets, sorry, and those, the lampposts don't work anymore. Those were
Yeah,
all
the
with
solar
grant money.
that from the,
Yeah.
like Deval Patrick, I think. at the
Yeah,
time.
they've been there a while and they don't really work anymore, so we're looking to start swapping them out. They're expensive.
Because they're solar.
Yeah.
Right, so there's not even, that we can't even do that many with this money and still do other stuff. But it is the comprehensive plan and that will be available for everybody to see when we get that all done. Again, that'll be done, I think by June, the plan will be done. Let's see, we got, $500,000, I think, to do the work on Summer Street with sidewalks. So that's from Walnut Street back to Progress Street. I worked with John Stone on that. But again, that was through the Mass One Stop portal, because there's gonna be a lot more traffic down there. It's already too much traffic, but when you add almost 200 units with that affordable housing complex, and if something else gets built under the multifamily overlay district, we definitely need some work down there, especially sidewalks. So that, we applied for that, and we have that money. I don't know when John will start on that. And we got $300,000 in a federal grant for Safe Streets for All. And these are kind of, I keep calling them the test dummy programs. So they're gonna give us like a toolkit, a dashboard toolkit, stuff like that. But again, OCPC, our regional planning agency, has an overarching grant to do safe streets in our regional area. So everything we do here will go into their final report. But it's $300,000. We're gonna look at Hancock Street and maybe try some traffic calming measures up there. I don't know that any of them will be permanent, because I don't think they give us this stuff forever. They like lend it to us, or I'm not 100% sure how all of it's gonna work. So it's Hancock Street and Center Ave, I think, was the other street.
What's a traffic calming?
So the new what do they call them? Roundabout.
Yeah,
That's
right.
a traffic calming measure. When they paint the bike paths on the side of the road, that's a traffic calming measure. Sometimes the little speed bumps,
Okay.
those are That's all out of my wheelhouse.
Narrow the road
Yeah.
sometimes, create
Well, how did they take that part?
bottlenecks. I don't know, we don't know what the plan is yet, so.
Yeah, they have to come out and look at it and tell us what they think will work best. And then we do all of that, and then we kind of collect the data and we hand it off. But it will be good for the town to have that data moving forward in case we do need to do stuff on those roads. That data will already be there, and the exploration of what's wrong and getting answers will already be done. So, so I think that is it on stuff we have that we're working on. Some stuff moving forward, we've applied to the Catalyst Fund, and we're working on an MVP grant with Rockland for a flood assessment, so we can see if there's anywhere that's more prone to flooding that maybe we can fix even short-term at the end of the grant. So we haven't applied for that yet, that's on the radar, and then we have wrapped up, sort of, the installation of the heat pumps in this building. I hate to even say it.
Yeah.
It's been kind of a
Really
long haul.
quietly.
Very quietly. So there are some things that need to be fixed here, but they're also going in at the senior center, and we're talking about, in the next Green Communities round, doing the other half of the senior center. We can only do half of the money they gave us, so I think it was $200,000 or $300,000. And then we'd have to apply for a grant to do the rest of the senior center, but at least part of it is done, and this building is done because of the state or federal government wants us to be compliant by 2035, 2050. Climate compliant, however they're saying it, so.
I'll be retired by then.
Maybe you will. It won't be our problem then, Abby. It's gonna be your problem by then. So, yeah, that's a little trip through our last year. And some fun things we're looking forward to this year, the ADUs, a few more grants. There is literally no change in my budget except a 2% salary increase for Kevin and I. And we had money in our salary line item that we weren't using, so I'm writing you guys a check. Handing it back, I know. But just to offset that, there's $10,000 in my other professional and technical services line item, which has zippo to do with the planning board and everything to do with weed treatment at Island Grove. Because that has outgrown its CPA life. They can't continue to pay for that treatment, but we still need to do the treatment every year in order to keep we remediated a ton of the weeds up there, so we don't want to lose the ground that we've gained, so to speak.
Right.
You don't want to backtrack.
We do not, and it's really short change. They're pretty inexpensive, they're out there all summer testing and weeding.
Yeah, I see this.
Whatever they're doing
all the
out there.
time when they're treating.
Oh.
and-
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is an example of what I was talking about.
That was never paid for with a grant, though.
Yeah, no, but I mean, this ongoing maintenance of these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta do it. You know, I'm not saying
Unfortunately,
you don't have to do it,
Right.
but I think we all have to recognize that when we have these grand, and everyone likes them, but you have to pay for them too.
Right.
And people have to understand that that's what they're getting when they do it.
And it adds up.
Yep.
Yep. At the end of the rainbow. So does anybody have any questions?
This is very impressive.
Thank you.
Yep.
Nothing? All right, I told them.
Thank you so much.
You guys still awake back there?
Education.
Yeah.
You really
Thank you very much, Liv.
You're very welcome. You guys have a good night.
You and your whole staff.
Right? Right?
I just wish that was another 2-page org chart.
All right. You guys have a good night.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
Job.
And I'm not stealing your time.
Thanks, Liz. All right, let's get an update on the fire and DPW building project.
Great.
We clap for him too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I stand.
Oh,
Now,
Mr. Moderator.
I'll hopefully talk less and be on my way. First of all,
Came back from last night.
kudos to Liz in the planning office. I mean, I just listened here. I mean, there's several $1 million worth of grants that you brought in 1 year. That's very impressive.
Thank you.
It's nice to see some of the improvements around town where otherwise would rot away, so thanks. And thanks to Congressman Stephen Lynch for the big help. So I'm here tonight as chairman of the building committee for the DPW fire station building project, which I know the FinCom's well aware of. It's the new DPW building, and the new central fire station is to be built in the location of the current DPW facility on Central Street and adjacent to the police station. So when all's said and done, we're gonna have a nice public safety complex up there of police, fire, and DPW on one site. And so we've been spending a lot of time drafting and putting together a site plan, trying to kind of make this a working site with driveways, garages, parking spots. Worked obviously with the fire department, Chief Glynn's here, the DPW, our owners project management team from Pomeroy Associates, and then we have our architects and our civil engineers working with us. We've met and talked on a number of occasions with the police department to make sure that they know what to expect, and to assure them that they will remain fully operational at all times during the construction of our project. I also want to say that we also have been in constant communication with our direct abutters. We basically have 2 residential abutters on Central Street. Mr. DiCarlo has been kind of our point contact man. He's attended a number of our meetings, and he's been very helpful and very cooperative. So just to give you an idea of where we are, we're meeting on at least a monthly basis, if not more than 2 months. I expect that to start getting much busier as we start getting to actual construction in some points. We have broken up this project into 2 phases for planning purposes, phase 1, phase 2. Phase 1 will be the construction of a new driveway entrance on the right side of the police station that will go out straight back to 2 new items: the new salt shed, which would be in the far right corner, and the new fuel island, which would be about halfway down, kind of just beyond the police station. The thought is, we can't demolish the existing DPW buildings, which include the salt sheds and the fuel station, and then wait until we build the new fuel station and the new salt shed, because the town needs a fuel station every day and every week, because it services all the town's vehicles, not just the police station, the police vehicles and the DPW vehicles. The salt shed obviously is needed during the winter when we're out there combating winter storms. So the plan is phase 1 would build the new driveway entrance, the new fuel station, and the new salt shed. Very happy to report we went out to bid for the phase 1 work. Our cost estimator said that we should expect bids between $4 million and $4.5 million. The winning bid was $3.3 million. So initially, we all had smiles on our faces because we're under budget for phase 1. It's going to be a local company, APC Development Group out of Hanover, which actually we're kind of happy about that too. So mobility should be a little bit easier to get work. And we're actually having a kickoff meeting right here in this room next week with the representatives from our design team, our project manager team, and APC, so that everyone knows what to expect. So we should see some activity out on that site in the relatively near future. The cold weather isn't a friend. Makes it a little bit more difficult for site clearing and digging because of the frost, but they know how to do it, and they will do it. So you should see that activity starting up relatively soon. They've been out there surveying, so they know where the boundaries are, and they'll have some construction safety fencing put up. So we were very happy not only with the result of the bid, but that we had received 8 different bids from general contractors, because just as short as 2 or 3 years ago, our consultants were saying they weren't getting a lot of bids from municipal projects. So bids were coming in high, or just they weren't qualified bidders. All these guys were qualified. Bids was very challenging. I mean, the top 3 bids were all within about top 2 bids were within 1.67%. It was real tight bidding, which we were happy to see. We're hoping that that bodes well for our second round of bidding, Phase 2, which we cannot start Phase 2 until the new fuel island and the salt shed is done. When that's done, then we can start demolition of all the DPW buildings, which then, of course, begged the question for us, well, where are we going to put the DPW? So our plan is, we are going to, and they're starting that process now, the DPW is starting to clean out all of their old buildings from 1942 up through the 1960s or wherever they were built, throwing away whatever they can throw away, and whatever we need to keep, vehicles, maintenance, Island Grove docks, other extra recycling barrels, all this stuff that DPW does. We're going to move that up to the North School property. And that's going to be where we're going to basically temporarily store those things and those vehicles. There'll be security fencing put up there. Our site plan at Central Street involved the purchase of 5 or 6 Connex boxes. You can see those big metal trailers, secured storage units, basically there. They are going to be in the back of our new site. We're going to buy them now, though, and put them up at North School. So it's brand new, clean, secure storage for, the small push lawnmowers, the traffic cones, all that stuff. So it's just not out in the open. All the vehicles will be parked up there. There'll be a trailer for employees. So the employees will go there in the morning, take whatever vehicle they need for the job they're going. They're out for the day, and they come back, and then they go home for the evening. If we have a snowstorm during next winter, they would, of course, pick up the truck at North School, but then they'd be out on the streets, and when they need more salt, they go to Central Street. One of our big discussions was we didn't want a temporary salt shed at North School, because that could just drive the neighbors crazy all night as trucks are beeping around.
It's a very different thing to put in.
Yeah, and I know one neighbor who's a real pain sometimes, Barbara. So
I'm sure you mean Ronnie.
you should have got a letter. We also sent a letter out to explain this to the neighbors, let them know what the plan is, what we're doing up there, what we're not doing up there, and how to get in touch with John Stone from the DPW or Scott Lambiase. So you should see activity up at the North School starting February, March, April, because we'd like to have the DPW cleared out by the time Phase 1 is finishing, and we're hoping, if the gods align and the stars align, I should say, that would be done sometime around May. And then we are going out to bid for Phase 2 in the middle of February, with bids to be due and submitted to the town, and I believe it's right around the beginning of April 1 or 2. We'll look at those bids, review them with our project management team. We know who's bidding, because they have to go through a pre-qualification process, where those companies that are interested in this project have to submit basically their resume to us to show that they are qualified, they're large enough, they have bonding capacity, they have experience. We check their references, if they had problems in other jobs, so we know what we're dealing with. So we do anticipate a number of companies to be bidding on Phase 2. If things go well and we can award the bid in April, the thought is that they would hopefully get started with construction probably beginning of June. Really have to start with demolition beginning of June, get the site cleared, and then start the construction of the new DPW building, the new fire station, and all of the appurtenances that go with that. If that does proceed as scheduled, we're anticipating that this project would take about 1.5 to 2 years to complete from there. So if we start in June, we should be done by the end of 2026, or maybe January, February of 2027. Hopefully the grand opening right then and ribbon cutting. That's when, once we get into the building, we get really into the nitty-gritty of things, so there'll be a lot of work going on, but I think we have a great cooperative effort going on with the 5 volunteers on the building committee, which, again, I want to give a shout out to. In addition to myself, we have Bob Persicchini, who was on the library building committee, Gordon Slaney, who's a retired engineer, Derek Hamadi, who's a firefighter, EMT, who was on the original building committee, the feasibility committee, so he brings that history forward to us. And the 5th one is Alex Bezanson, who is a contractor by trade. So with those 5 people on the building committee and our project manager and then our staff, administration in the town, we've had a lot of healthy debates and just trying to fine-tune, keep moving forward and pushing this project. We are on budget. Technically right now we're under budget, but that's only Phase 1, so we got to wait to Phase 2 to give you an update and see where we are at that point in time. That's about where we are. where we're heading. Fingers are crossed, we're very optimistic, but I can't tell you anything until we see the bids come in that first week of April. Any questions?
No, sounds like it's going well.
Yeah.
Great.
Abby, any
How's that?
Barrett? All right.
Great, that was quick.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sean.
And thank you for volunteering your time.
Typical.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I think I know everybody here, but welcome.
Chief, how are you tonight?
I'm good. I'm good.
Appreciate-
It's been
appreciate your
It's been
time.
a long week for only Wednesday.
I keep seeing memes that say, "Oh, this has been a rough year," and then the person responds, "It's only January."
My favorite is, it's been the most Mondayish of Tuesdays and Wednesday, but that's what we do. I'm Jacqueline, the Abington Fire Chief, for anybody that doesn't know. I'll try to make it as brief as I can. I guess I'll read the mission statement, and then I'll kind of break it down a little bit from there. But the mission of the Abington Fire Department is to provide all persons, without exceptions, protection from fire, emergency care, medical care at the advanced life support level, mitigate hazards, work to prevent emergencies through public education and code enforcement. To simplify it as best, we very frequently show up on people's worst days, try to make it as best we can, and we try to solve the problems for them. I apologize in advance if it's a little too much, but I'm going to overflow with pride tonight with our department. This is the busiest year in the history of the Abington Fire Department, by far. Our call volumes increased. Our fire prevention department has increased drastically. We have some huge projects going on with fire prevention. One of them is going to be the new project at 412. It's 412 Summer Street now. That Zero Summer Street project, it's been named 412 Summer Street. Huge project. We've been working behind the scenes, both myself, Captain Cotter, back when I was a deputy with Chief Nuttall, throughout this project, and it's changed so much. It's going to be a big undertaking. And there's a lot of, what we're running into with some of the fire prevention stuff is a lot of code enforcement things that, I can say it started with COVID, but a lot of things that kind of went under the radar. And what happened is we'll respond out for a medical call or something along those lines, and then come into a house and find out, never mind no smoke detectors, is no walls or no heat or anything along those lines. So it takes up a lot. So our fire prevention captain, Chris Cotty's been phenomenal. He works really well with the building department on a lot of that. I will tell you that in the increase in medical calls we've had, that's been the primary that's bumped us up on the overall call volume we've had. We've seen a lot of traumatic calls this year. We do each year, but we've seen an awful lot. And I had made mention to the new police chief, John Bond, who's a terrific guy. I said to him, "You're coming from Stoughton, and as much as we love that Abington's a bedroom community, we call it, we're a little city, and we're very busy, and you're going to see some things." And he actually had said that to me recently. So we're very busy, but I couldn't be prouder of what we're doing right now. Our EMS, our paramedics, every member of the department now is officially a paramedic. 98, when we started the program, it was 25 years ago, I think. See, I'm doing my math. I was the first paramedic to come on, and then we started to slowly build the system. Every person in the department's a paramedic, and that means any of us can do anything along those lines. I know what my role is, but if we get 3 calls going on at once, I'm doing something with a medical, or the deputy, or the captains are. Our system has become the example on the South Shore for how we operate things. And I don't want to jinx us, but we've had a higher level of success with cardiac arrest resuscitations in the last couple of years based on some innovative things we've done with the Heart Association, working with our medical director, Dan Muse, out of Brockton Hospital. And we've had a lot of case studies that our paramedics have been called to testify on, to present their case and how they did it and some of the things they've done. So it's a level of success that's incredible, and it's an incredible team all the way through.
I have a question, Jack.
Sure.
What do you think is the driving force behind the increased medical calls that
You know, Barb, it's funny. Everybody asks me that, and I don't know. I don't know. You can have theories about the way the world is right now. We're seeing more. My opinion, without official stats, I think we're seeing more mental health calls. And that was something I'm actually going to address with the group tonight, because for what we do for a living, what the police do for a living, it's changing, and we're seeing a lot of that. We're doing a lot more training with people's mental health as far as our own members. We're actually doing something cohesively together with the police in a couple of weeks, and we're doing some phenomenal things with the police department now. The two departments have come together like I've never seen in my career. But getting back to that, I don't know. I think some of it is people aren't taking care of themselves as much. I think there's a possibility maybe they don't have the means to take care of things.
So it's more like at-home medicals, it's not so much like car accident type fueled
I
situations?
think it's more at-home medical stuff. As far as car accidents, some of the increases we're seeing is with the electric vehicles, and that's scary. And we're dealing with a lot of the training on that too, because we've had to put a policy in place. Again, some of the other area departments are copying us. Deputy Driscoll put it together where we show up like, not to freak you out, Matt, but your laptop that you're typing on, that battery, that could be even just I hear a pop or a smolder. Within 10 seconds, this whole room can be on fire from it, and it's scary. So we've actually had to buy equipment as far as certain blankets that you can wrap it in, and we can get rid of it. And we have policies in place with certain places that will accept them, because 30 days later they can ignite again. You can soak them in water, and with some of the oh my gosh, I can't even think of his name now. Elon Musk, the company.
Yeah.
Tesla.
Thank you, Teslas. In Norwell, they had one. And what they were doing at first with some of these cars, they were actually putting them in large dumpsters and filling them with water. And they'd show sparks coming out 2 or 3 weeks later. So what they have policies in place now is if you get like an electric vehicle, you have it towed to a certain yard, it has to be monitored for 30 days. We've had all those things in place. So that's a new thing that we're getting into with the training. But getting back to, again, I'm sorry, I go off on a tangent a little bit because I love what we do, but medical-wise, I think it's just an increase in a lot of things. And I think it's just a matter of so many people have the means, or they can't get to the hospitals, maybe they don't have the coverage, or they're going through tough times. We're seeing a lot of it. I would say off the top of my head, my opinion, I think we're seeing a higher level of suicides, but I can't guarantee, I can't look at that and compare you to, it's not something we do, we can break it down, but I think there's just a lot of tough challenges out there for people, and we're there for them. And one of the newer people that came on the job, and I said to him, it's gonna sound like an old guy kind of giving you the lecture, but you're not gonna be Joe Firefighter that you see on TV, you're gonna do that. You're gonna be a psychiatrist, you're gonna be a social worker, you're going to be a son, you're going to be a buddy, you're going to be a medical expert. And that's what we do. And I think that's why I'm so proud of the people we have, because the feedback I get from so many residents, you get phone calls, and the guys kind of joke with me and say, okay, here comes Mr. Warm and Fuzzy again with something. But you've known me long, but Barb, if I'm proud of something, I'm going to tell people, and I'm very proud of what our department does. So I guess as far as achievements go, I can tell you we're setting the bar high for everybody. We've heard that from our medical director. Our level of care is as high as anybody's in the area. We're doing everything we can to maintain that. Our EMS coordinator, Justin Silva, his training and the things we're doing, and that's a big function that we're trying to really zero in on the path, sorry, that's the bath phone, so let me just say,
It's the big one. We gotta go.
honestly, can I, just for a minute?
Yep, nope.
Hi, I'm with the FinCom right now, what's up? Okay, all right, thank you. I have a working fire.
If you have to go, you
I
go.
do. But the deputy's on the way
That
there.
takes precedence over
I will,
this, we understand.
I'll give you a 5-second update, okay?
Why don't you just do it another night when you have all the time?
It's up to you.
Do it,
I do have to say, I've been here a long time, and this is
That's
the
a
first
first.
time,
This
this
is
is
the
the
first.
first,
That's a
yeah.
first from me.
but be
So
safe,
we,
be safe.
thank you.
and
Yes.
all of the
Thank
team.
you.
And
Thanks so
thank
much.
you.
Thank
All right,
you.
catch up soon.
We will, yes. That's never happened.
No,
I mean, not while I've been here, and I've been
Yeah.
here a while.
I don't recall it.
And I hope everyone is okay, and
that was unexpected end to that conversation. Moving along,
Reschedule them, Andrew.
update from the town manager.
All right, so it was interesting. I did send around, the governor has filed her budget. The announcement that came out with it seems optimistic. However, I think that when we dial into the numbers, we're not going to see any great improvement for unrestricted or Chapter 70 for the town of Abington anyways. But we won't know, we'll know more next week. So that's really just still status
The
quo.
takeaway that I had from what you sent was it at least doesn't look like anything's going down.
Right, yeah, it's not, it doesn't appear that they're taking any money away. So we have that
That
going
would be
for
good.
us, right? It won't be less than last year. We have been meeting the budget committee, strategic budget committee, I think we've calling ourselves, but we met last week and we've mostly, just focused on what we're going to do with the trash issue. And right now, we're dialing in on the numbers of the surrounding communities, what the surrounding communities have been doing, what the actual effect of not taking trash out of the budget has done to the budget over the past X amount of years. Somebody brought up the anecdote that it was, I think, 17 years in between requests for overrides. And I think the committee has come to, or that, it's not a committee, but the working group has come to a consensus that the best way to approach this is to phase this in if we do it. We will subsidize it so that trash fees there'll be no trash fee for anybody for the first year. And the fees will just gradually come on over a series of 3 years after that. But right now, like we said, we're planning March 19th, I believe, is the date that we want to have an open forum. And I think we're going to do it at the senior center. We want public participation. It'll be, we'll seek some input and questions in advance that we can answer, and hope anybody who has any questions about the program going forward will come and ask as many questions as they like. We will, explain why we think that this is an important thing financially for the town to do. Certainly, we want to explain, talk about what other communities have done, what other options are out there, and why we think that the proposal will be the best proposal. I'm going to meet with the school committee and chat with them about it. Going to meet with the chairman from the Board of Health, and I've invited him to our meetings, and we'll continue to invite him to our meetings to discuss it with them, and at some point probably present it to the whole Board of Health. And I think Andrew will schedule a night where we can just have that on for a major part of the discussion with this committee for the night. So that's still moving forward. Again, trash is, it's one of the biggest problems I think that we have as far as it eroding away from other parts of the budget with just increases that are well beyond what's sustainable. So I think it's our opportunity to take care of this. I know there's never really a good time, but I think we really should, so.
I wanted to say too, a key point being that it is through the rising costs that we have no control over.
Yeah.
Not through lack of mismanagement or, not being cautious or conservative. It's costs that are to the tune of 56% increased costs in less
Over
than 5
few
years.
Yeah.
That's a really big increase in the cost of trash. And we are not the only town that is
Yeah. one of-
dealing with the issue.
one
It's
of the-
just,
One of the things that I wanted to stress on that front is this is a countrywide state, like not even just town or state. This is a countrywide and in many ways worldwide issue that the trash and recycling removal markets, if you want to call them markets, it's more commodity than market.
Right.
It's something that the prices have gone through the roof over the entire time that I've been on this committee. It's changed drastically, and it's really,
it
yeah. it's-
encompasses such a larger issue, where
Yeah.
to put all of the stuff.
Yeah.
And how much we get charged for the companies that remove it, trying to find places to put it.
Exactly.
And I think Andrew had some good data for us that we want to sort of simplify and put together for everybody, but overall, tonnage, the amount really hasn't changed.
Relatively flat.
Yeah, which is,
Little increase, but the population of
Yeah.
the town has increased.
yeah, so I think the town is doing their best. I think everybody's doing their best as far as, the recyclable part of it, or just not being as wasteful, or doing whatever for those numbers to have remained flat with the growth over these years. But the fact is, if the hauling costs and the tipping costs and the cost to dispose has just gone up, as you said, over 50-something% in just a very short amount of time. And the only place for that money to come is from other areas of the other departments. So yeah, there's still got a long way to go on it, but a short time to do it all. So we're moving forward on that. I think the other thing is just not for everybody to remember that Saturday is the election
For
ballot.
South Shore.
Social Shore Vote
Building
Tech
project.
Yeah. So it is a, $22 million project for the town of Abington, plus or minus $500,000, probably plus. So if it is approved on Saturday, it's a district-wide election, so it's not specific to Abington, it's all the communities involved. We will have to discuss that at town meeting on how we're gonna pay for that. So it's very important, everybody gets out and votes.
Gets informed.
Yeah,
The
there's
information
lots of
that you're
stuff
planning
on our
having. You've
website.
got stuff on the website. As far as VOTEC, you can go on the Abington website and click on a link to get all the information about the VOTEC
Yep.
project and costs, and I think it takes you also to you can,
We have a cost calculator
Cost
on ours.
calculator.
Yep.
so that you can decide.
Yep, if you go on to our town website, you'll find the cost calculator. You can put in the value of your home, and you'll see what the cost will be to your particular home per quarter, per year. And there's lots of information. There's a couple of interviews that I did with Superintendent Hickey that answers a lot of questions. So and we have it out on Instagram, we have it on our
Watch
Facebook.
last
We
week's
have
Finance
last week's
Committee
Finance Committee meeting.
On Abington
Right?
Cam
So there's
Station. on
lots of
YouTube, it's
information
on
out
YouTube.
there. And most of it will direct you back to the website, because I think all your answers, to anybody's questions can be found there.
And last week, he gave out his personal phone number.
He did?
If
Yep.
people had questions, that they could call him and,
And I can confirm that last week's meeting is up on the YouTube channel, because I checked it to make sure I didn't wear the same sweater this week. So,
I never think about that. That's it.
that's it.
That's
All
all the
right.
excitement I have.
Liaison reports. Chris? You looked like you had,
No,
oh,
no,
okay. Abby,
my
anything?
groups are done.
Right?
he's,
I already teased that I did not have a chance to check correspondence. There's probably nothing in there, but I'll check that next week. Reviewing minutes, we actually have enough people here to vote on the January 8th meeting minutes.
motion to approve the meeting minutes of January 8th, 2025.
There's a motion by Barbara to approve the minutes from January 8th.
Second?
Oh, we're gonna have to amend the minutes, because they say January 8th of 2024. So, maybe approve with the,
Let's approve, I'd like to amend my
amending the date.
motion to, change my motion to approve the meeting minutes with the amended date of January 8th, 2025.
So motion to approve with
Second.
amendment, second by Chris. Any discussion on the January 8th minutes? Talked with the IT department, the town accountant. Got an update about South Shore VOTEC. We got a liaison report about the police department. Any other discussion? Without any, all those in favor of approving the minutes for January 8th, 2025 as amended?
Aye.
All those opposed, it is unanimous, the minutes are approved. Our next meeting is next week. I think we have police and water coming.
Try to see if someone else wants to come in.
Maybe, no, I don't think it should be fire.
No, yeah, please don't schedule fire on the night of another big department. It just, I feel like then they feel rushed and, or we can be here till midnight,
Yeah.
just so that we're not,
Nothing good happens after 10.
right.
We've already had a third of the fire, though. We've had,
Yeah, we can
we don't have to.
So-
We don't have to go through the.
Andrew, is at the bottom of the document, so February, those are not yet a specific date in February? Okay. We do try to avoid the Wednesday of February vacation week, as there tend to be a lot of people missing that week. I personally have a conflict on the 12th, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't meet on the 12th.
Remember the year that, what were you gonna have a meeting, oh, no, never mind.
Yeah, there was a year that we were scheduled to have a meeting on Valentine's Day, and
Yeah.
Barbara put the
And I-
kibosh on.
Said, we are not doing that.
But so we will have DPW, Recreation, Sewer, both part of DPW. So will it just be DPW and fire and schools at some point in February?
Right.
And we still have CPA, right?
Oh, yeah.
On the schedule.
You just,
Cable can come on.
do we,
Health, Board of Health, we haven't
I was
had.
gonna say,
So we're getting there.
All right.
Oh, yeah, that's right, so Shovel take us to come back.
Yep.
Poor guy.
I know.
Imagine that.
He's had a busy budget
Lot to do.
season.
9 towns. It's up one for, it's up,
All for the building, and then
up
you
one
still
from
gotta
a
do,
couple of years ago.
all the
They-
budgets.
They added a town, so
They're talking about
talking about adding another one maybe, so. So, all right. Any further discussion on next week's meeting? Police and water? Any other things that people need to bring up? Motions?
motion to adjourn.
There's a motion to adjourn by Barbara
Second.
and a second from Sarah. Any discussion? All those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you very much.